Okay, you guys, what is up? King Lightning Gun do my second of the three One Piece videos this week, and this is going to be the Sanji is equal to or greater than Zoro video. Now, the thing is, I know for a fact that there are a lot of Zoro fanboys out there. You know, I know J-Man from the Jay's Playground, where Jay likes to play. He's a huge Zoro fanboy. Zoro for the win. Shishi Sun, the Dark Dragon Twister, Rashomon, 36-pound cannon, you know, so on and so forth. So, I mean, Zoro is a very cool character in my opinion. I like Zoro. However, I do prefer Sanji, and I'm going to speak from the Sanji fanboy perspective when it comes to the Monster Trio, the three top fighters of the Straya crew. Now, what I will say is that what I'm talking about is strictly combat ability. Nothing to do with their character development, only combat ability. Because when it comes to character development or characterization, Zoro is better. A lot of times, Zoro is considered to be the first mate. He is considered to be the vice captain, even though he's not in title the vice captain. Also, Zoro is put in these positions of power whenever Luffy's not around. When, for example, when Aokiji took out Luffy, it was Zoro who kind of took the helm. After Luffy was exhausted from the Gecko Moria fight, it was Zoro who took Kuma's pain. So, he took the pain of Luffy from Kuma. But that being said, in my opinion, Zoro is better characterized than Sanji. And when it comes to what you prefer, it's either the swag of Sanji or the coolness of Zoro. So, I mean, and I prefer the swag of Sanji. Now, what I will get into here are a few of the fights in order to try and state my claim. Now, the first thing I want to point out here is that when Zoro fights the second top person, while Sanji fights the third top person, and this kind of brings the notion that Sanji is the third strongest, while Zoro is the second strongest. However, what I do want to point out is that when we take a look at a few of the fights, for example, Alabasta, Zoro fought Mr. 1, Das Bonus, and he is considered to be the second top member of Baroque Works. As opposed to that, Sanji fights Mr. 2 Bon Clay, and he is considered to be the third strongest. Now, the thing is, when we see these fights take place, Zoro at the end of this fight was he almost lost the fight in the first place. He was panting, he was breathing heavy, passed out, he was losing a lot of blood, and Zoro barely won that fight. But when it comes to Sanji and Mr. 2, Sanji was able to walk away with a few broken ribs, and that was it. So that's a clear sign that even though Sanji fights the third strongest and Zoro fights the second strongest, Zoro at the end of his fight is like severely wounded, battered and beaten, as opposed to where Sanji, he's able to walk away from it fairly okay. Those are signs that Oda puts in order to maintain this rivalry between Sanji and Zoro. Also, when we take a look at the CP9 arc, or the Enies Lobby arc, where Zoro faces Kaku and Sanji faces Jabra, first of all, even though Kaku had a higher Doriki than Jabra, Jabra had more experience with the Devil Fruit. Also notice that Jabra is a carnivorous Zoan, as opposed to where Kaku was a herbivore Zoan. And the carnivorous Zoans are considered to be much more fearsome than the herbivore Zoans. So the thing is, when I see these two fight their respective opponents, Sanji was able to beat Jabra in one episode, and even though he was wounded, it wasn't to the extent of Zoro, where Zoro took a beating. He took a beating from Kaku. He got rained with the Ronkek. Do you remember the part where Kaku was in square mode, and then he bounced the Ronkeks off the ceiling, and it rained down like the storm of blades? Also, we see, the Began, he began Zoro like 50 times. Just Began. So, Zoro was heavily wounded at the end of the Kaku fight. I mean, granted, Zoro was still able to, move around and so on and so forth. But still, the fact of the matter is that the injuries that Sanji has pales in comparison to Zoro. So what I'm trying to say here is that if they were to switch positions, then Sanji would be heavily wounded, as opposed to where Zoro wouldn't be as wounded as Sanji. However, they would still beat their respective opponents. Zoro would still beat Jabra, and Sanji would still beat Kaku. And the thing is, what it comes down to is what you prefer. Do you prefer the martial artist, or do you prefer the swordsman? Alright? Now the thing is, I love Samurai Champloo, I love Mugen, I love Jin, I love Rurouni Kenshin, I love Hajime no Saito, and I love Hajime Saito, and I love Kenshin Himura. I love Mihawk. I love all these swordsmen that go out there and they live and die by the way of the sword. However, I do prefer the martial artists. I do prefer Fist of the North Star, Hakuto no Ken, with the Hakuto no Ken. I do prefer Goku, a martial artist. For me, martial artists over swordsman. That's the way I see it. That's the way I'm accustomed to. And when I see One Piece and I see two people who are rivals, one's a swordsman and one is a martial artist, I'm going to take the martial artist standpoint. I prefer it when they use the body as a weapon as opposed to actually holding the weapon in their hand. Even though I hate Kenichi, in my opinion, is a good example. We have two factions. We have, when it comes to Yami, there's two major factions. The weapon faction and the non-weapon faction, and for me personally, I preferred the non-weapon faction. They use their fists, they use their legs, they use their bodies as weapons. But that being said, Sanji is equal to Zoro or over to Zoro, and the reason why I say over to Zoro, or the reason why I say Sanji is better than Zoro, or he could be better than Zoro. Ultimately speaking, they are equal. They are considered to be equal, but Sanji would be over Zoro in the case of when it comes to when they fight each other. Sanji has the advantage of speed and athleticism, whereas Zoro has that strength. Now, when it comes to endurance, in my opinion, their endurance is equal to each other. Zoro's endurance is shown a lot more often than Sanji's endurance, but in my opinion, their endurance is equal. And what it comes down to is, the thing is, Zoro has way more strength than Sanji, which is true. But, I wouldn't say way more strength than Sanji, but Zoro is stronger than Sanji physically, but Sanji is faster. And when it comes to, at the end of the day, it's the person who gets the hit off. And Sanji can dodge in and out and bob and weave, while Zoro will have a much more difficult time with that kind of fast, rapid movement. What I do want to say is that someone pointed this out to me, where Sanji is more of the protector, while Zoro is more of the warrior, and that's very true. Zoro will go out there and he will fight at his fullest, so he can, whenever he finds a worthy opponent, especially a swordsman, he's going to go out there, fight to his fullest, and enjoy the fight. Whereas Sanji, he fights to his fullest when he has to protect someone, especially when it comes to the women. When it comes to the women, he protects them, he goes all out, and Sanji is considered the protector in that sense. However, what I will say is that, in my personal opinion, I don't think that Zoro or Sanji is on the same level as Luffy. Because Luffy has the same... Actually, his strength is greater than that of Zoro. His athletic ability is equal to that of Sanji. He has the Devil Fruit power. He has that reach. His attack speed is phenomenal. So, in my opinion, Luffy is at the helm, where, when it comes to strength, Luffy's at the helm, where Zoro and Sanji are equal to each other, but they're right below Luffy. That's the way I see it, alright? But that being said, let me know what you guys think about this. In my opinion, once again, Sanji, in my opinion, is better than Zoro, or equal to Zoro. This is all my opinion, my take. I'm speaking for the Sanji fanboys, because there's so many Zoro fanboys, and they go out there and Zoro, 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 Zoro. But what about Sanji? Where's Sanji's love? When it comes to post-time skip, we haven't seen that much of Zoro. Sanji has delivered. He has delivered crazy. Especially when he was immersed in flames and he destroyed and he burned Wadasume's entire mountainous body. Yo, that was impressive stuff, Sanji. Zoro, he fought Hyuzo, and even though it was a pretty it wasn't a great fight, but it was a display of Zoro's skills. Zoro kind of ended fairly quickly with the Rengoku Onigiri from behind, and apparently that technique is supposed to be stronger than the onigiri. But that being said, we need to see more of their post-time skip abilities. But give me your thoughts on this topic. Give me your thoughts on this discussion. Again, I'll say it one more time. In my opinion, Sanji is equal to or greater than Zoro. That being said, King of Lightning, rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Tomorrow's gonna be my special One Piece discussion. It's gonna be fairly good, or at least fairly interesting. And I'll see you guys later. Again, this is not supposed to be taken like super serious. It's all discussion, having some fun, getting my opinion out there. So I'll see you guys later. Rate, comment, subscribe. Signing off. Peace.